I was reading this article about the new Triumph Speed Twin 1200 Cafe Racer Edition, and I thought, what a great subject to make a video about. Today, we're counting down 10 motorcycles that were built in such tiny numbers, they've become absolute legends. We're talking bikes where fewer than 1,000 units exist, and stick around because number one is so rare and so valuable that finding one is like winning the lottery. These aren't just limited editions. These are factory exclusives that most riders will never see in real life. Number 10, the Ducati Desmosedici RR. Back in the mid-2000s, Ducati was absolutely dominating MotoGP with Casey Stoner. They were winning races, they were on top of the world, and someone at Ducati headquarters had this insane idea. What if we actually built a street-legal MotoGP bike? Not just marketing talk, say, not just some watered-down version with racing stickers, an actual, legitimate MotoGP machine you could ride on public roads. This was Ducati saying, we can actually build this, and they meant it. So they built exactly 1,500 of them. That's it. Worldwide. Forever. And the reason they stopped there? Each one cost an absolute fortune to produce. We're talking about a 989 cubic centimeters V4 engine that was literally a detuned version of their MotoGP power plant, making 198 horsepower. The engineering required to make that street legal while still keeping it performance focused was absurdly expensive. $72,500 in 2008. That's approaching six figures in today's money. And at that price point, demand was naturally limited. Quick one. Have you ever seen one of these rare bikes in person? Let us know in the comments. But here's why riders who could afford one absolutely had to have it. This was as close as you'd ever get to riding an actual MotoGP bike on the street. That engine screams to 13,000 revolutions per minute with a sound that's just intoxicating. The electronics were cutting edge for 2008. The titanium exhaust, the carbon fiber bodywork everywhere, the Öhlins suspension. Every single component was race spec. Owners talk about the riding experience being unlike anything else they've ever experienced. It's not comfortable, it's not practical for grocery runs, but it's visceral in a way that modern bikes with all their electronic nannies just aren't. The ownership story is legendary too. You don't just own a Desmosedici RR, you own a piece of MotoGP history. You're in a club of 1,500 people worldwide. And what happened after production ended, the Desmosedici RR vanished from dealerships and became instantly collectible. Ducati never made a direct successor because, honestly, how do you follow that? Clean examples with low miles now sell for $100,000 or more. That's nearly double the original price after almost 20 years. It proved that street-legal race bikes have a permanent place in motorcycle history. And it cemented Ducati's reputation for building absolutely insane limited editions. The Desmosedici RR is proof that some motorcycles aren't built to make money, they're built to make history. And if you think that's exclusive, wait until you see number 7. Number 9, the MV Agusta F4 RC. It's 2015 and the superbike market is absolutely brutal. You've got Japanese manufacturers pumping out incredible machines at reasonable prices. You've got Ducati with their Panigale, and then you've got MV Agusta, this small Italian manufacturer that needs to do something dramatic to stand out. They need to prove that MV Agusta isn't just about building beautiful motorcycles. They're about building fast ones too. So they created the F4 RC, and they capped production at 250 units. That's it. And why so few? Because every single one was hand-built in Vyrus, Italy. They took the standard F4 engine and massively upgraded it to produce 212 horsepower. The frame was custom-built with titanium components throughout. The electronics package included a custom quick shifter and traction control system. Everything was assembled by hand, which meant production was slow. MV Agusta physically couldn't build these fast enough to meet even modest demand, so they've made a decision. Cap it at 250 and make each one absolutely perfect. If you're loving these rare bikes, hit like so we know you want. Part 2. And here's why riders care about the F4 RC. It's one of the most beautiful motorcycles ever made, and it performs like a full race bike that happens to have lights and mirrors. See, riders who've actually experienced one talk about the engine character like they're describing a symphony. That inline four screams to 13,500 RPM with a sound that's absolutely intoxicating. The riding position is aggressive, sure, the power delivery is brutal, and the handling is scalpel sharp. You think about a line, and the bike's already on it. But the ownership story? That's where it gets really interesting. You're in a club of 250 people worldwide. You'll never see another one at a bike night. You could ride this thing for 10 years and never encounter another RC owner. After production ended, the F4 RC became instantly collectible. MV Agusta used the lessons they learned to develop future F4 models. But nothing has matched the RC's exclusivity. Clean examples now trade hands for $50,000 or more, which is well above the original $46,000 asking price. It proved that MV Agusta could compete with the Japanese and European manufacturers on performance while maintaining their Italian soul. The F4 RC is a masterpiece of limited production, beautiful, brutal, and almost impossible to find. Number 8, the Bimota Tesi H2. Okay, so Bimota has this legendary history with the Tesi platform. Back in the 1980s, they built this absolutely radical motorcycle with hub center steering instead of traditional forks. It was weird, it was innovative, and it proved that alternative steering designs could actually work. Fast forward to the modern era, and Bimota wants to resurrect that legacy. Then they partnered with Kawasaki and got access to the supercharged H2 engine. Suddenly, they had an opportunity to create something truly unique. The radical hub center steering combined with one of the most powerful engines ever put in a production motorcycle. They're estimating around 250 units for the first production run. But honestly, production is so slow that nobody knows the exact number. And here's why. Hub center steering is insanely complex to manufacture. Each Tesi H2 is essentially hand-built to order. The carbon fiber bodywork is custom. The chassis requires precision machining. And that supercharged 998 cubic centimeters, inline 4 from Kawasaki, needs extensive modification to work with Bimota's unique frame. Production is measured in single digits per year. So why do riders care about this weird, expensive, hard-to-get motorcycle? Because the Tesi H2 rides like nothing else on Earth. That hub center steering provides unreal feedback and stability under braking. Think about traditional forks. When you brake hard, they dive. The geometry changes. Hub center steering? None of that. The geometry stays constant. And then you've got that supercharged engine making over 200 horsepower. Riders who've experienced one describe it as alien technology. The ownership story is about owning future technology that looks like it came from a science fiction movie. The Tesi H2 is still in limited production, though calling it production is almost generous. Bimota takes orders, but wait times are measured in years. It's already collectible, but with early examples appreciating in value. It proved that there's still a market for radical engineering, even when it comes with a six-figure price tag. The Tesi H2 is proof that motorcycles don't have to follow conventional design. And speaking of unconventional, number 4 is going to absolutely blow your mind. Number 7, the Honda RC213 VS. The Ducati Desmosedici RR came out and made waves, right? Honda watched that happen and thought, we can do that too. This is 2015. Honda is absolutely dominating MotoGP with Marc Marquez, and they decide it's time to bring their MotoGP bike to the street. This wasn't about competing with Ducati. This was Honda making a statement about their engineering capability and racing success. They built approximately 250 units, and here's where it gets insane. The bike cost $184,000, nearly $200,000 for a motorcycle. But wait, there's more. You could buy an optional race kit for another $12,000 that brought the power from 159 horsepower up to 215. Why so expensive and so limited? Because this thing featured a 782 cubic centimeters V4 engine derived directly from Honda's MotoGP bike. The chassis was carbon fiber, and the electronics were years ahead of anything else in 2015. Every component was essentially hand-built to MotoGP specifications. At that price point, demand was naturally limited to the ultra-wealthy. Want more videos about legendary motorcycles? Subscribe, and we'll keep them coming. But here's why riders who could afford one absolutely had to have it. This is a real MotoGP bike you can legally ride on the street. Not marketing hype, real MotoGP technology. The engine note is pure racing. The handling is otherworldly. Riders who've experienced one talk about how it feels alive in a way that normal superbikes don't. It's not comfortable for commuting, it's not practical, but it's transcendent. The ownership story is about having Honda factory racing technology sitting in your garage, a piece of engineering that won championships. The RC213VS sold out immediately despite the insane price. Honda never made a successor. Clean examples with low miles now trade for $200,000 or more. It proved that there are buyers willing to pay supercar prices for truly exclusive motorcycles, and it cemented Honda's reputation for building street-legal race bikes that actually perform. The RC213VS is the most expensive production motorcycle Honda ever built, and every penny is justified. But Honda's $200,000 bike is still street legal. Number 5 proves that British manufacturers were building ultra-rare bikes with troubled histories. Number 6. The Kawasaki H2R. Now wait a minute, the H2R is still in production, right? Yeah, but here's the thing. Kawasaki builds fewer than 500 units per year worldwide, making it one of the rarest modern motorcycles you can buy. Kawasaki wanted to build the fastest, most powerful motorcycle ever made. This was 2015, and they saw an opportunity to absolutely dominate the conversation around performance. But they made a crucial decision: make it track only, not street legal. This gave them freedom to push boundaries without worrying about emissions or noise regulations. The result? A 998 cubic centimeters inline 4 with a centrifugal supercharger making over 300 horsepower. Building these engines is complex and time-consuming. The carbon fiber wings, the specialized electronics, the hand assembly, everything limits production capacity. And at $55,000 for a track-only bike, only serious buyers apply. But why do riders care? Because the H2R is the fastest accelerating production motorcycle ever made. 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. 0 to 100 in 5. The power delivery is violent. Track day riders who've experienced the H2R talk about it being genuinely intimidating. And these are people who ride superbikes regularly. The ownership story is about owning the most extreme motorcycle Kawasaki has ever built. The H2R continues in limited production, and it spawned the street-legal H2. Early H2R examples are already appreciating as collectors realize these bikes represent the peak of internal combustion performance. It proved that there's still demand for absurd, over-the-top performance bikes. The H2R is modern engineering pushed to its absolute limit. And if you think 300 horsepower is crazy, wait until we get to number 2. Number 5. The Norton Commando 961 Sport. The Norton story is complicated and kind of heartbreaking. Norton was this legendary British manufacturer that built iconic bikes in the 60s and 70s. Then they went bankrupt, disappeared, and eventually got reborn under new ownership in the 2000s. By 2017, they wanted to revive their legendary Commando name with modern performance. But they wanted to do it the classic way. Air-cooled, parallel twin, traditional styling, modern reliability. Production numbers are difficult to verify because Norton's records are a mess, but estimates suggest fewer than 500 sport variants were actually built. And here's why they're so rare. Norton was a small-scale manufacturer operating out of Donington, England. Each bike was essentially hand-built. The frame was hand-welded steel. The engine was hand-assembled. Quality control issues plagued the company, and financial troubles meant production was slow and inconsistent. Norton went into administration multiple times. What's the rarest bike you've ever seen in person? Drop a comment and let us know. But why did riders care about this troubled British brand? Because the Commando 961 Sport represents classic British motorcycling with modern reliability, at least in theory. That 961 cubic centimeters parallel twin makes 80 horsepower and has character that modern bikes just lack. Riders talk about the riding experience being pure and engaging. The styling is timeless. It looks like a classic Norton with modern components. The ownership story is about supporting British manufacturing and owning a piece of Norton's comeback attempt. Norton's financial troubles meant the Commando 961 became unintentionally rare. Production ended when Norton went into administration in 2020. The bikes became collectible almost immediately. TVS Motor Company eventually acquired Norton and relaunched the brand, but the original Commando 961 Sport remains a rare artifact. Clean examples are appreciating as collectors realize this might be the last air-cooled Norton ever built. It's a beautiful tragedy, a bike that should have succeeded but was undermined by financial mismanagement. Norton's troubles made their bike accidentally rare, but number 3 was intentionally limited to just 100 units to celebrate a century of innovation. Number 4, the Aprilia RSV 41100 factory. It's 2019, and the superbike market is absolutely dominated by inline-4 engines. Japanese manufacturers have perfected the formula: smooth power, high revs, predictable delivery. But Aprilia looks at that and says, what if we build something different? They want to prove that V4 superbikes can compete, that Italian engineering can deliver more torque, more character, more soul. So they created the RSV 41100 factory. Annual production is limited to around 500 units globally. That 1100 cubic centimeters V4 is hand-assembled, every single one. The electronics package is race level. The Öhlins suspension is fully adjustable. Everything is built to world superbike standards, which means Aprilia physically can't build them fast enough. So they keep production strictly limited. And here's why riders absolutely care. It's one of the best handling superbikes ever made. That V4 delivers power in a way inline 4s just can't match. There's more torque everywhere. The sound is different, more characterful, more emotional. The chassis is sublime. Riders who've actually experienced one talk about it being the closest thing to a world superbike you can legally own. The electronics are race-proven. The ownership story is about having a hand-built Italian superbike that performs at the highest level. The RSV 41100 factory continues in limited production. Low-mileage examples are holding their value extremely well. It proved that V4 superbikes still have a place in a market dominated by Japanese inline 4s, and it cemented Aprilia's reputation for building race bikes for the street. Number 3, the Suzuki GSX-R1000R 100th Anniversary Edition. 2020 was Suzuki's 100th anniversary. A full century of building motorcycles, of racing, of innovation. The GSX-R has been Suzuki's flagship superbike for decades. It's won races, set lap records, been the bike that serious riders choose. Creating an ultra-limited anniversary edition made perfect sense. They built exactly 100 units for the US market. 100. Worldwide production was around 500 total. Suzuki wanted this to be genuinely exclusive. Each bike featured a special blue and white livery, commemorative badging, and a numbered plaque. Your bike is number 37 of 100 or 82 of 100. Now the GSX-R 1000R is already one of the best superbikes ever made. That 999 cubic centimeters in line 4 makes 202 horsepower. The electronics are race grade, but what makes the 100th anniversary edition special is the collectability. You're one of 100 in the US. You're one of 500 worldwide. You'll probably never see another one. The ownership story is about having a piece of Suzuki history, a bike that commemorates a century of innovation. The 100th anniversary edition sold out immediately. Dealers had waiting lists. it became instantly collectible. Suzuki returned to their standard GSX-R lineup, but this special edition remains highly sought after. Clean examples with low miles are already appreciating. It proved that limited edition superbikes with special livery and numbering will always find buyers. But if you think 100 units is exclusive, number one is so rare that fewer than 80 exist worldwide, and it's powered by a helicopter engine. If you're loving these rare bikes, throttle that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. We're bringing you content about legendary motorcycles every week. Don't miss out. Number 2. The Vyrus 987 C3 4VI. Vyrus is this tiny Italian manufacturer that most people have never even heard of, and they've been perfecting hub center steering technology for years, building these absolutely radical motorcycles in tiny numbers. The 987 represents the culmination of all that work. This was 2016, and they partnered with Ducati to get access to their V4 engine, making 205 horsepower. Hard cap? Fewer than 50 units estimated to exist worldwide. Why so few? Because Vyrus is tiny. Each 987 is hand-built to order. The hub center steering is insanely complex to manufacture. Everything is custom machined. The carbon fiber chassis is bespoke. The bike uses that Ducati V4, but everything else is completely unique. Production is measured in single digits per year. The price? Over $120,000. So why would anyone care? Because the Vyrus 987 rides like nothing else on Earth. That hub center steering provides unbelievable feedback and eliminates fork dive completely. The geometry stays constant. And then you got that V4 screaming. The power to weight ratio is insane. The bike weighs just 336 pounds. Riders describe it as future technology. The ownership story is about owning one of the rarest, most advanced motorcycles ever built. The Vyrus 987 continues in ultra-limited production. Vyrus still takes custom orders, but waiting lists stretch years. It's already one of the most collectible modern motorcycles. It proved that there are buyers willing to pay exotic car prices for genuinely innovative engineering. Number 1. The MTT Turbine Superbike Y2K. This is pure engineering ambition turned reality. It's the year 2000, and Marine Turbine Technologies decides to do something never done before: build a turbine-powered motorcycle. Not a concept, not a prototype, but an actual production motorcycle using a Rolls-Royce Allison Model 250 gas turbine engine, the same type used in helicopters. Total production over 2 decades? Approximately 80 units. 80 bikes in 20 years. Each one is hand-built to order. The turbine engine requires specialized knowledge. The fuel system is complex. The engineering challenges are immense. MTT can build maybe 5 per year at most, and the price? Over $150,000. But here's why those buyers absolutely care. The Y2K is the most unique motorcycle ever built. That turbine makes 250 horsepower and spins to 52,000 RPM, not 13,000 like a superbike. 52,000. The sound isn't an engine, it's a jet turbine scream. The acceleration is violent, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. Riders describe it as riding a jet engine. The ownership story is legendary. You own the rarest production motorcycle in the world. You'll never see another one. The Y2K continues in ultra-limited production. 2 decades later, MTT still takes orders, but wait times are years. Each bike is custom-built to specifications. It's the most collectible modern motorcycle because so few exist. It proved that turbine motorcycles are possible. The MTT Turbine Superbike. Y2K is number 1 because nothing else comes close to its exclusivity and insanity. 80 bikes in 20 years, a turbine screaming to 52,000 revolutions per minute, a price over $150,000. It's proof that if you can dream it, engineers can build it. Click the next video to continue the road trip. Join our tribe by subscribing. And if you want to support our channel and have early access on the newest videos, become a member. And don't forget to like this video.